Bismillah, alhamdulillah, wassalatu wassalamu ala rasulullah. Welcome to module 5. Okay, so you'll have all these links when you come to it. Okay, so this is our regular follow-ups, right? So kind of related to what Naveed you were asking. Okay, we talked about the passive versus proactive success versus support approach last time, so please remember that, right? So you want to have a, okay, just from a team perspective, when you're recruiting new Muslim mentors, they want to have like 1 or 2 hours of commitment, and also obviously have as part of their commitment that they will also be seeking knowledge and taking care of themselves. And there's an expectation that weekly they will update you on WhatsApp or wherever you want it to be. And yeah, so this is the training manual I talked about. Okay, so success dependent on your efforts, right? So this is the gardener analogy, right? That look, as a coach, as a mentor, what you are expected to do is reaching out and trying to cultivate the land, you know, every week at least, right? Whether you be sowing seeds or watering the plant or watering the land or whatever it is, the results are in the hands of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and also based on the quality of the land. And sometimes it takes a long time, but your success is not how they are reacting, what they're doing. Your success is, are you consistent even if you're not seeing any results? And if Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala shows us, you know, some results, that's a bonus. And sometimes those results will be within the team, right? So maybe you have 5 coaches, 5 mentors in the team, and you are working on like, you know, 20 new Muslims, you know, one of them becomes really good, right? So that's a success for the team. Okay, so here are some examples. You know, I'm busy, stressed, lots going on, right? So again, you want to say, okay, I understand that. You know, there'll always be exciting stuff happening. You will always be busy. It's about how do you balance things? How do you make time for things that are very important, but it doesn't look like critical, right? Your job, your exam, it looks critical, urgent, but you know, this is the deen, right? This is the deen of Allah. This is the practice of Allah. Taking that 5-10 minutes out, that will actually help you with those goals as well. Yeah, so these are some of the things that you can use to respond to them as an example. Okay, so another thing you can do is like if the contact is not responding, some of it, and this will also happen, guys, if you haven't experienced that, many times the contact will stop responding. So try, if you're using WhatsApp, try SMS, try calling them, try email. You know, if they still don't respond, I personally don't write them off. I switch them to a monthly thing. Okay, so I then message them once a month. So if you remember last week, I showed you how I name all my contacts. So then, you know, once a month, I get a reminder on my phone. Okay, message your monthly people. Then I look at my contact list with that code, and then I message everyone something similar usually. And, you know, we have seen people actually coming around over 6 months, 9 months, you know, because again, life, right? So life is busy, exciting stuff is happening. They don't respond to you after 6-9 months. You know, maybe Allah opens their heart or life happens, either or, and then they respond to you, and then you can reinitiate that relationship. Another thing you can do is just change the mentor. So like, let's say if Naveed's mentor is not mentee is not responding, you know, pass it on to Atiq. You know, he can reach out, say, hey, I'm a new lead, or I'm the lead at Dawah Canada. You know, I wanted to see how your experience was, and I know it kind of stalled with Naveed. Maybe we can start a new relationship with a new mentor. Would you be interested? Something like that. Yeah, so some of these issues that coaches face is like, you know, they get bored, they get disheartened because a lot of the time there's no action happening. You know, they don't want to push. That's another look, I mean, guys, we have to push, right? I mean, there's nothing wrong with pushing. You know, some people are like, oh, I don't want to push, I don't want to push. Like, yeah, there's a balance, right? You don't want to be on either extremes. So that's why the first conversation we had, we say, hey, I'm acting as a mentor, as a coach, and this is the 4 things that we you know use. We will push you, we will hold you accountable for your own good. I'm not setting goals for you, you're setting goals. I'm just asking and having a conversation, right? So you're like a gardener, if you will, who tries to clean up and grow and nourish the land. And then, you know, worst case, ask them, hey, am I bothering you? Am I being too much? But just don't be too passive, right? You're not helping anyone. Oh yeah, absolutely. Like you can meet anywhere, right? I mean, there are people, as I was mentioning, that I've never met. It's been only online, because I mean, we're in different cities in different countries. Sometimes, you know, if person is not comfortable coming to the masjid, I've met with them at Tim Hortons or outside. I prefer them to meet me at the masjid, and I also prefer them to meet me either right before or after the salah, so they can actually pray with us in the masjid. So that would be ideal, but they don't. It doesn't have to be. And sometimes you can even, you know, you can meet at the masjid, pray at the masjid, and go out, right? I know we have some brothers here who try teaching at the masjid. You know, sometimes it's not very welcome. You can't go and start teaching someone at the masjid. They may not like it. So, I mean, obviously, introduce yourself to the masjid management so they don't get surprised. But if you don't get support from them, then you pray in the masjid and you do the learning outside. Yeah. Okay, so structure and content. So basically, you know, meet up, you know, catch up, live, what's happening. Focus on, you know, the motivation part, right? Who is Allah, right? Then you can talk about the goals, results, you know, adjust the plans, and so on and so forth. Try to incorporate Quran. We do that. Let's see. So here again, the 4 pillars, right? So you can share this with them so they understand your approach. So knowing Allah, right? Talking about the Tawheed of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, right? Including the implication that, okay, so Allah is the creator. So whatever you want, Allah is the creator of it. Allah is the owner of it. Allah is the provider of it. So it doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense for you to disobey the owner to chase the creation. You know, the importance of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala being Al-Hakim, Al-Rahim, and Al-Qadir, that it's Allah's choice, Allah's decree, but it's not random. There's a goodness behind it. Trust the plan of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. It may be painful, it may be, you know, disheartening, but there's a goodness that will come out of it. And never lose hope. Okay, you know, there are many verses like that you can keep handy, right? Just running fast because of time, but you know, hopefully all these will come handy as you empower and motivate them. Okay, so you know, we want to definitely emphasize Quran. I think I mentioned this last time. These are some of the things that you can use as when you're discussing Quran with them. So this is basically some videos that you can see that we are doing Quran study. So that will give you a model if you want to follow. Other example could also be, you know, using Riyadus Salihin that has like a lot of motivational content on Salah, on different acts of worship. This stuff we already talked about it, the transliteration stuff. You know, remind them that, look, yes, you may be technically challenging, but you know, don't think that your prayer is any less worthy than someone who is proficient in Arabic language. You can actually become better, right? And it's not supposed to be a liability. It's not supposed to be, okay, let me do it and boom, done. It's actually supposed to enhance your productivity. It's actually supposed to ground you, bless you, and make you more productive. Okay, talk about that. Okay, these are some examples of weekly follow-up videos, you know, weekly check-ins. Okay, so we will go into that document on the structured content quickly. So let's just talk about do's and don'ts. I think that came up last week as well, right? What was it, like halal food as an example? Okay, so look, so there's 2 things to remember. One is be aware of difference of opinion. Okay, now in your own life, remember we talked about desensitization last week. So in your own life, you may be following either a opinion that is more conservative, or you may think this is a true opinion. Okay, however, you know, as you are telling the new Muslim, you need to be aware of, you know, where there are valid difference of opinion, so that you can emphasize that, look, this is compulsory. Nobody is disagreeing on that. However, this thing, there are scholars that say it's a must. There are scholars that say it's not a must. So, you know, there's some sort of a leeway there. So these are some of the examples, right? Taking a bath after taking the Shahadah, you know, new Muslim to change their name, compulsory to get circumcised, right? So these are like some common myths that could be there. So make sure that you understand the differences of opinion here. And also, more importantly, look at their commitment level, right? So if they're not committed, you know, they're just starting, they don't even make time for prayer, you know, then don't push them, right? Don't bring it up. I don't think you should bring up, oh, you know, you should, you know, leave your husband or boyfriend or what have you. You know, see where they are, and that will be their choice, right? Again, even if they're doing some haram, they're still Muslim, they're working on it, that's better than them just like being overwhelmed and just giving up everything. So here are some examples, right? Amjad is a pretty good source. They give you like multiple opinions, and they like look at it from a North American juristic perspective. And it's a valid body of scholars, so that's a great resource to consider. Always, weigh the harms and benefit, as I was mentioning earlier. Like, what can happen? Two things, right? So you go and you tell someone, oh, you know what, you should leave your husband, for example, or boyfriend, and then he or she just followed you. Okay, now it's just like so overwhelming. It's like, okay, I'm just gonna go back to him, not talk to my mentor because that's it. No, so you want to help them understand and let them make that choice. That look, it's not gonna be easy, but this is what Allah wants. If you want to sacrifice, Allah will replace it with good, but it's your decision. We are here to support you. And if you think you can do it, do it. But if you will become overwhelmed, take your time. I'm not making halal haram or haram halal, but it's all gonna be your choice. So let it be their decision. Okay, common pitfalls. Number one, coaches being passive. Really, really, guys, you have to care about your mentee, right? So as we said, like, don't make it like, oh, how are you doing? Everything's good. If you need anything, call me. Let's not do that. You're not helping anyone, right? So that's why the first conversation we had, we discussed that, look, yes, we are your friends, we are your supporters, but hey, we are here to worship Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So we have these 4 components: motivation, teaching. You set your goals. Even if you pray one prayer a week, okay, that's something, right? But then we'll talk about that. Okay, 1 prayer a week, then 2 prayers, whatever, right? Again, be careful that they may be just too much into technicality. So remind them of the importance of prayer, even if they're not technically correct. So mirror validation is a very important topic. Sometimes they may feel that they are the odd one because they're comparing themselves from the lenses of their parents or their friends who don't think high of Muslims. So remember that they should consider comparing themselves from the lenses of Quran or Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, or make new friends who actually appreciate what they're doing. Another common pitfall is people going on Google and Facebook groups and WhatsApp groups. So tell them that, look, I actually have people who still do that. Like, look, if you're just gonna go and find information from unknown sources, like it's like water, right? So you just get water from unfiltered sources, then you have to take time and you have to filter it and then drink it. If you have sources that are reputable, that I'm telling you, take it from them so you don't have to worry about filtering. So that's just something, because that will take a lot of time to just go and read up all the stuff from on the internet. Another thing I tell them is like, don't follow too many people, keep it simple, right? There are differences of opinion, they're not huge, right? Your prayer is still valid if you put your hands here or down, or you raise your hands or not. But what's important is that right now you don't have the time, it's not your priorities to figure out what is the best way or which way is stronger, which way is not. If you trust me, you trust one teacher, khalas, you follow him or her, right? And then later on, if you want to, you can go into those details, but your prayer is still valid. Nobody's going to say your prayer is not valid if you don't raise your hands or what have you. So learn one way and follow it, whoever you trust. And if someone comes and tells you to do otherwise, thank them. Don't start debating with them, and thank them, and then let's talk about it. Be practical, right? So for example, it's not important to reach conclusion of every debate among the Muslims, right? Is it really an important matter or not? You're still Muslim, you're still accepted. Seek help from Allah, right? Ask Allah to put your trust and and confidence in people that are closer to the truth, and so on and so forth. But yeah, this is Trello stuff we used to do, some WhatsApp check-ins. Atomic Habits I mentioned last time, really, really good. You can utilize some of these things. Take a look at that. Oh yeah, Habit Share app, I think I mentioned it last time. So this is one example that they can share with you. Some of my mentees use it, very few, very small percentage. Sometimes it's just like a verbal or a WhatsApp check-in. Okay, so module 5 is regular follow-ups. Okay, so we just did that. Now I can take you back to that document that we wanted to talk about. All right, so here, okay, so this is pillar 1, right? So you want to study or discuss together. So I think, Naveed, back to your question about what you can do. So that's one option, download the content from here. I mean, I don't know the one that you have is new or old, but this is probably the latest. You can use this login information, download the content, watch the videos if you want, and then go through it with them. Okay. Other thing I use is, do the Quran translation, right? So I read Arabic, they read, translation, and then we discuss. Okay. So you can ask them these questions, that you have in this slide here, or you can see some examples here. I now actually have started reading Tafsir Saadi with my group as well. So let me quickly show you. It's 10 volumes. What happened? Yeah, so let's say if you're on chapter 29, right? So obviously you have to go on volume number 10, right? Each volume is covering 3 juz. And then when you go to volume number 10, it's good because it has a table of contents. So let's say we are reading, for example, Surah Al-Qiyamah, right? So I can just scroll down, see Surah Al-Qiyamah 75 here. Okay, page number 270. I go up here, I put 270, boom, takes me there. And each time I read, we keep an eye on, okay, which verse or which page number we stopped at. Next time we go and we pick up on the same topic. Obviously, you can help them understand how it's organized, with the verses and connecting other verses. So I think it's a good one. It gives us a good way to discuss. There may be other resources, but so far I'm liking it. As I said, other options could be, I've done like a series on a very important book called Disease and the Cure. I think that's a great one too, if you want to utilize that. Or Riyadus Salihin, right? Especially you can pick a chapter on different topics. That's how you spell topics. On Salah and what have you. App you mentioned earlier. Okay, so social media, right? So these are some social media. If they're using social media anyways, right? Like your buddy who uses TikTok. There's no TikTok links here, but they can subscribe to some of these things, and that can at least help them have good content, right? So yeah, it's all here. Prayer stuff, we already talked about it. New Muslim Academy. Yeah. Oh, and these are other stuff, right? So now let's say the basics are done. If they want to have a series on faith, pillars of faith, that's another series they can have. Actually, one of our mentees, one of our coaches, she took notes here. Who does Allah love? That's another series they can do. So many different series that you can cover with them if you want. Okay, goals, spending, atomic habits, habit share app, how to use habit share. There's an intro video here, examples. Oh, other resources, right? Okay, so now this document is really good, right? So you can just usually search for anything and you'll find it. So let's say you go marriage. Okay, so this will tell you about okay, if they ask you about marriage, some things to consider, how to get married, resources to get married, what to look for, common pitfalls, boom, right? For example, if they want like advanced learning, these are some advanced learning places. If they want to learn about how to read Arabic alphabet, that's here. They want to have a one-on-one teacher, they can use someone at your masjid or use these online resources. Yeah, so that's basically what we ask them to do. And once they're ready, then we give them a test. Naveed, I sent you the test that you can use. If you want to have extended training, I think that's what I was mentioning last time. We're not going to be able to cover that. This is like personal development and goal setting. If you really want to have big transformation, you can use that with them. Emotional mastery, atomic habits. Again, depending on how deep you want to go, right? Okay, a few other things. So let's say if you search for hijab here, okay? So hijab minimum requirements. Okay, that's a very important topic, but it requires more things. I have it in the bigger doc. I'm gonna put it here. Look for empowering Muslims. Okay, so now you go here. Empowering Muslim is right here. You click on it. Pretty much most of the issues that I've come across are all here. How to approach it, how to explain it to them, right? Because it's not just a matter of halal haram. So for example, if you go on hijab, hijab here. Hope I'm not It's all visible, right? Okay, hijab and abaya requirements. Okay, so it will say, okay, well, I'd like to welcome you and so on and so forth. Realize, you know, you can do it gradually. If you don't do it, doesn't make sense. Doesn't mean that you've become non-Muslim. Gives you tips on how to adopt it. Gives you some video about it on, you know, the spectrum of the most conservative to the least conservative hijab, the bare minimum requirements, and so on and so forth. Boom, done. Right? You want to teach them about istikhara. You can look for this. I should probably put istikhara. So if you search for it, you will find it. Tayammum, boom, right? Wudu ablution with minimum water, dealing with difference of opinion, you know, halal, haram job, stuff like that. A lot of stuff here, all typical, you know, questions that you would ask or they would ask. You can find here. One more very common one, if I search for alcohol. So that's another myth, right? That you know, if I drank, then my prayer is not accepted. That means I shouldn't pray. Is that what it means, right? Oh, not here. Okay, so you look into the bigger document, and go home. It's talking about bad habits. Okay, so where is that? It's a good one. So I knew some people that you asked them, well, why are you not praying? Oh, because I drank, so I heard that I shouldn't pray. Yeah, see? Okay, so that's another thing. I should put tags that if you search for alcohol, you still find it here. Okay, so if I drink, I can't pray for 40 days. That's not true. Videos explains that. Fake resources, MJ, what have you. Yeah, I guess this is it. So that's the module. I mean, this document is a lot of stuff, but then again, if you use Control F properly, if you use table of contents, I don't know what's going on here. Why is it red? I'm gonna fix that. Yeah, so questions, guys?
Yeah, Brother Zubair, sometimes the new Muslim, not necessarily he has complete understanding. Sometimes they accept Islam, but some of the issues are not clear. For example, after Shahadah, if somebody starts discussing about alcohol and starts justifying it, I mean, there is no harm, there are some benefits. And so what should we do? Should we discuss that or just close the topic right away? So, I mean, we cannot, I mean, for sure it's prohibited. So we cannot say, yeah, that's okay. So how do we deal with that?
Okay, so I mean, I haven't come across, so first of all, I wouldn't be saying alcohol is haram, you know, I wouldn't be bringing it up, right? Because if you remember, like, you know, that, you know, we talked about do's and don'ts. It's like, you know, you see how they're progressing and then you can break it over time. And obviously if they're going through learning, they would automatically discover alcohol is haram. So I wouldn't be bringing it up. The second thing is, so when I'm teaching or when I'm doing Quran studies, I think that's when we discuss this, right? So, or when I talk to them about perfection, I said, look, you know, there's some people who would do either everything or nothing, right? So don't be like that, you know, even from a health perspective, it's better to do something than not to do anything. And then I would say, look, now, if you have something that you do, right, that Allah prohibits, then the question becomes like, okay, what are you going to do about it? So some people, they still do it, they ask Allah's forgiveness and they try to, you know, get rid of that bad habit. There are other people who actually say, no, you know what, like for example, for hijab, the same thing, right? It's, you know, it's one option that you don't wear hijab, but you know it's something I should, but I will work on it. That's great, compared to someone who's like, okay, because I don't like it, I'm gonna now justify that it's not something, that it's not something good. And you know, you can emphasize that all the time, like even from the story of, you know, when we are giving them an Islamic worldview, look at the story of Adam, because I just kind of ran through it, but if I slowly do it, I remind them, look, the shaitan, what he did, he justified his sin. Like, I'm better, I'm not gonna prostrate. He wasn't sorry. Adam alayhi salam, he made a mistake. He apologized. He didn't say, oh, why did you create a tree? The tree was there, so I should have the free will to eat it. No, right? So similarly, when we have something, then this is the approach. The better approach is that we don't justify, because do I know more or does Allah know more? If I really think that something in Islam is not true, then that's a discussion that you would also have with a non-Muslim, right? So then the question becomes, well, okay, so Allah says it's prohibited. Who knows better, right? Do you have absolute knowledge that alcohol is good for you and it should not be prohibited, right? Or pork or what have you? Because we're not saying it based on the science, because science can change over time, right? However, we are stopping drinking we're not drinking alcohol because of submission to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And there are other people who don't drink alcohol because of medical benefits. They're not Muslims. You don't become Muslim because you are leaving alcohol. I know I kind of blabbed around a lot of stuff, but
Jazakallah khair. So I'm going to stop it.
Yeah, I think that's a good idea.